Welcome, welcome. I am so excited for this conversation today. And before we do anything, just want to acknowledge you. I know that this is a busy time of year, serving your clients, doing things to be operational. Your calendar is probably maxed out right now, and that you stepped away from working in your business to join us today to work on your business, getting that one tip, advanced insight, something that's going to inspire you to take your business to the next level and really up level everything that you're doing. So want to acknowledge you for joining us today. And today's topic is how to earn 2 to 3 times more from your cleanup projects, increase the profits, improve efficiency, and reduce the stress. And just think about, if you could ask one question during today, please think about what that would be and put it in the chat. I would love to be able to have a conversation and answer those questions for you. The cleanup challenge. Well, there's probably many aspects to it, but what I see is that you quickly review the cleanup and you quickly review the financials. You then dug right away into the project and recognize it's more complicated than you originally estimated. As a result of that, instead of those high profits you were looking for, you now have high stress. So that is what I call the cleanup challenge. And if you find that as a result of that, you ended up undercharging for the project and you're wondering what to do about that, or maybe that it's now taking more time than you originally estimated for various reasons. You found some unexpected things. You thought it was only going to be this many transactions that needed to be categorized, but it's more like this. It's a colossal project that you weren't anticipating, or maybe you are waiting for responses back from your client, and that is delaying everything. So if any of those things happen, or possibly that after you did the project, you ended up with a new monthly client and this client just gives you headaches. If any of those things apply to you, then you are absolutely in the right place. Steve, please introduce yourself.
Oh, Lauren, I'd love to. So, hi, my name's Steve Fogelman. As you can see by the last name, we were related and also business partners, life partners, business partners. I'm going to be working the chat. So, if you have any questions when we do the poll questions, that would be a great time to go ahead and put one in, and I'll get it over to Lauren. I'm a therapist turned business coach. And Lauren, back to you.
Excellent. I just put in the chat, if you haven't introduced yourself yet, please feel free to do so in the chat. Would love to know who's here. And a little bit about me is I'm a sports psychologist turned business coach. And what I have found is education. The system gives you all the know-how to be able to do what you do really, really well, at least give you that foundational piece. And then as you're moving from being an employee working for someone else into being an employee, you realize that they didn't help you know how to run a business. They helped you work in somebody else's business. As a result of that, there's 3 gaps that need to be figured out. The very first one is, how do you grab the attention of those real quality clients and communicate the value of the services that you offer? Number 2 is how to be able to increase your profit margin without working additional hours by looking at price strategies and knowing what to charge for your services. And the third one is how to enroll clients when you don't like the sales part. I'll let you know, even if you went through the business school, most business schools do not even have one class in sales. So I feel that that is a disservice to everybody that's moving in this direction. Anyway, those are the top 3 things that I see firm owners could benefit from in order to really have their dream firm. It's how to communicate value, how to price your services when you don't want to charge for time, and also how to enroll new clients when you don't want to be salesy and pressure someone into working with you. And as you can see, I have been named as one of the top 22 business coaches by HubSpot, and that is my Amazon bestseller, The Success Solution. Now, the way to be able to look at this, and this is that 30,000-foot view, is there needs to be a strategy from onboarding to cleanup project to monthly engagement. And when you have a strategy that is proven, it gets results, then you're able to increase your profit margin, be able to become more efficient in the work that's being done, and also reduce the stress that goes with those unexpected surprises. And when you do that, you have that formula. I know that you can actually earn 2 to 3 times more on those cleanup projects than what you're currently charging. What we're going to cover today is 5 costly pricing mistakes. We'll transition into your personal ATM machine, and we'll wrap up with 5 tips to get started. I will absolutely give you as much as I possibly can in our short period of time together today. If you're interested in talking further, knowing how to bring this into your firm in order to be able to have those dream clients and also increase your profit margins, I'll show you how we can connect as we wrap up.
Well, Lauren, that's great. Let's get started with the 5 costly pricing mistakes. But before we do that, we have our first poll question. Do you offer a diagnostic review? I roll them right into a monthly service. It's part of my free consult. I have a paid diagnostic review. Once again, do you offer a diagnostic review? I roll them right into a monthly service. It's part of my free consult, and I have a paid diagnostic review. And like I said, this is a great time if you have a question to go ahead and put it into the chat. And I'll be sure to get those over to Lauren so that she can take care of those questions. And Lauren, I do have one question. Somebody put in, is it correct that I roll them right into a monthly service after I do a diagnostic?
I believe that what you actually want to do is separate it out and have a phased onboarding, which slows things down a little bit, but it actually is a way to protect you and as well as give the client the benefit of figuring out how to work with you. They gain trust with you also. So I would say go from the diagnostic into looking at doing the project and then going into the monthly service. Don't go into the monthly service too quickly where you roll the cleanup into it because you're leaving money on the table.
Great. Good
Okay.
advice. Good advice. So let's go ahead and get the results on the poll. Do you offer a diagnostic review? I roll them right into a monthly service, 31%. It's part of my free consult, 38%. I have a paid diagnostic review, and that's also at 31%.
Thank you.
Well, Lauren, let's dive into today's topic. You know, business owners, they really need accurate financials, and accounting professionals often start by doing this cleanup of the client's books. What are the steps to turn your cleanups into your personal ATM machine?
Well, this is right from the profitable client formula, and it's to take your firm from being stressful to successful. And I'll just give you a quick overview of the 5 steps in the formula. The very first one is low profit to high profit. You want to be able to assess who is going to be a high profit client, as well as being able to figure out which are the best projects you ought to be taking on and accepting. Because let's just face it, not everything is going to be equally profitable or actually a great fit for your firm moving forward. So we really want to focus on the high profit clients and the high profit projects. Number 2 is going from technician to expert. When you're doing that, then you get paid for the knowledge that you bring to the table as opposed to how long it takes you to actually do the work. And as a result of that, they are going to be seeing you more as an advisor, a consultant, respecting your expertise than just watching the clock and wondering why something took so long when you gave them the invoice and it showed how many hours it took to do the work. The third thing is workhorse to CEO. This is where you're now creating systems, putting processes in place to be able to increase efficiency. And also, once you do that and you have your systems, you can then actually pass some of the day-to-day operations on to someone in your team in order to free you up to do high-level work or to maybe get some of your personal time back. Number 4 is affordable to premium. This is where you're able to charge fees that reflect the value of the services that you deliver, the expertise that you bring to the table to solve your clients' financial problems, and you have the confidence to be able to tell clients what those premium fees are in order to receive them. So you're really comfortable with having that discussion, but you're doing it in a very authentic way that is all about delivering on value. And number 5 is from stressful to successful. This is where you are able to grow along with your firm, and your firm raises your quality life instead of taking from it. So those are the 5 steps of the profitable client formula: low profit to high profit, technician to expert, workhorse to CEO, affordable to premium, and stressful to successful.
Well, a common pain that most accounting professionals learn firsthand, unfortunately, is the dreaded cleanup nightmare. How does this happen and how can it be prevented?
Okay, so I want to just know, I'm going to put in the chat, have you had a cleanup project nightmare? So just wondering, has that ever been your experience also? Brenda said,
Yes.
absolutely yes, with 3 exclamation points. So she was very quick to respond.
Everyone's saying yes.
Barry, Nana, yes, yes. Christian, Emily. Okay, so we are in good company. Laura said that was my first client. Monique said yes. So Craig says yes, absolutely. Okay, so
Mm.
we've all have been in the same boat where we ended up with something that we thought was going to be easy breezy, and it turned to be something that kept you awake at night, or maybe you had to work through the night to get it done on time. And part of the reason that this happens is because you might be relying too much on client information and just going and that quick review, and then doing that to be able to determine what the next steps would be as you're moving into the project. That would be like you showing maybe a cut to your doctor, and then your doctor going right into surgery without really fully assessing what's going on with the cut or something like that, or if you had back pain, but just listening to you and not doing that, their own diagnostics. So what we want to do is realize that if your clients understood their financials to the same degree that you would and that you do, they wouldn't have messed up books to begin with. Okay, they would be coming to you with really squeaky clean financials, not ones that take hours and hours to correct. So think about when you're talking with them and you ask them how many accounts that you have. They might not think about telling you about their Venmo or their PayPal, or that they got a line of credit 3 years ago and they never closed it out. It just isn't occurring to them to share those things with you. And then you go into the project and you're finding all of these loose ends or things that just aren't categorized properly. The other thing is that as you're asking them things about cash flow, a lot of business owners have created a successful 6 and even 7-figure business without giving any attention to their financials. You might have someone like that currently that comes to mind. And as a result of that, relying too much on them telling you about what's going on as far as the cash flow, the finances, the profit margin, and all those other details, it's just not going to be accurate because they're just not as familiar with it. And the numbers might even intimidate some of your clients as well. As a result of this, my recommendation is to rely less on a client report and really do your own thorough diagnostic, because you know what to look for. You know what your workflow ought to be like. You know some of the common things that are obvious to you that they totally wouldn't even think about. It's not even on the radar for them. And that's why I think that we need to take charge of the whole process of onboarding with slowing things down so that you reduce your stress levels and you can accurately scope out the project before you dig into that. So rely less on the client and more on your own assessment.
Well, Lauren, what are the 5 common pricing mistakes when pricing a cleanup project?
Well, number 1 is that you're not doing a thorough standalone diagnostic. You're doing a quick review during that initial meeting because you quickly want to onboard this person as a new client and not have them move on in some other direction. So that is the very first thing, is that you're not doing a diagnostic very thoroughly that is going to be with you assessing everything as opposed to just basing it on client report and a quick review. The second thing is that you're not charging properly for the project because of the fact that you're calculating it based on how many hours you think it's going to be, Or maybe you looked at their financials, you felt sorry for them, and you immediately gave them a discount before they even asked for one. And the other thing, number 3, is that maybe you have looked at their financials and you enrolled them in as a new client to start the project, but you roll the project into their monthly work. So now it's being combined with the monthly work, and you're doing the both together, and you're hoping to make more profit on the back end once you actually get their books cleaned up. Number 4 is speed of delivery. Sometimes people come to you with urgencies. They need to get their taxes filed. They need to apply for a line of credit, and they need to be able to give certain reports to the banking institution. Possibly that they have an IRS audit coming up. So everything needs to be prepared and ready for that audit. But something is going on that maybe some clients will have urgency around. They'll have a short deadline, which means that you are moving things around in order to accommodate them because you're a very client-centered firm, but you're not getting compensated for that urgency. So when someone comes to you with a short deadline, then think about it like delivering a package overnight FedEx instead of ground or postal service. You know that if someone needs a package to be delivered the next day, they are paying a premium price for that. And that applies to your projects also. When someone's coming to you with a rush job, you can charge a surcharge or a premium price because the fact that you have to move some things around in order to accommodate them. And the next one is payment terms. This is about sending an invoice after the work is done and getting paid afterwards. I believe that when you get paid after the fact, it's like you are financing someone's work with you, and that there's a little bit of a risk for you because I've seen it happen where you do the work, you send the invoice, either they don't have the money, so they are delaying paying you, they want to negotiate because they wonder why it took so long. It didn't seem that complicated to them when they first gave it to you. Or possibly you did the work, you send them the invoice, and you never, ever hear from them again. So I believe that we ought to have you reduce the risk and look at it getting paid upfront. So those are some of the top pricing mistakes. I'm sure that there are others, but no diagnostic, undercharging, discussing the next steps or not discussing them, speed of delivery, and payment terms.
And on that speed of delivery, I had to do a overnight letter to New York. It was $100 to send a letter in that package. It's like, that's crazy. Anyway,
But
what
it
are,
was important, right, Steve?
yeah, absolutely. And it had to get done. So I paid for it. But anyway, what are some options available once an accounting professional, they realize that the project's larger than what they had originally estimated?
Well, I'm interested in hearing from you. I'm going to put it in the chat. Hold on. Okay. How often do you underestimate a cleanup project? Would love to know what that is for you. And if it's 100%, it's 100%. And that is just fine. This is about awareness, and awareness is the first step to being able to make some changes if you choose to. So how often do you underestimate a cleanup project? We'd love to know those answers. But if you do, you have 3 main options. The very first one is if you have a work agreement about the scope of work, then feel free to go and call your client or discuss with your client that it is going to be additional fees because there's a larger scope than what you originally both agreed to. The second one is if you don't have a work agreement and you know that the project's more complicated than what you originally assessed, well, you can stay awake for a while, wondering what to do and stressing out, and then finally decide to tell your client that it's going to be more expensive than what you originally told them, which isn't really a great way to start off with a client relationship. And then the third one is that you don't want to rock the boat. Reaching out to them and telling them they're going to pay you more money feels confrontational. It creates too much anxiety. So you just decide to leave things as is, and then you hope to make it up on the back end once they become a monthly client. I'm going to say that this does happen. This is one of those tough learning lessons. Don't beat yourself up when this happens. Instead, realize that there needs to be awareness about what is leading to this, and then putting a fix in place or process in place to be able to go ahead and resolve that problem that's causing you to have projects being underestimated because of the fact of there's something with the onboarding system. And as far as how often do you underestimate, Monique said about Monique and Craig said about 50%. Emily said about 50%. Larry is 50%. Raphael said most of the time. Nana said 60. Dana said 100%. So this is something that's common, and there is a solution. When I first connected with Devin, she does not like discussing her fees. She rushes through the whole sales process because it's uncomfortable for her. So we went through this formula, and she had someone come to her that needed to get all the information off of their in-house servers onto the cloud. And this happened right around COVID. So every single week that this particular law firm was shut down, they were just hemorrhaging dollars. And they wanted this done as quickly as possible to get operational again. She went ahead and went through the steps of the client onboarding system, where she first assessed what their problems were and what they wanted addressed and what the challenges were. She went ahead and did a very thorough diagnostic of what it would be to get them onto the cloud, as well as getting their financials caught up and up to date, and then what it would be moving forward into a monthly engagement afterwards. As she scoped it out, she went ahead and priced it at $40,000 to be able to get this done as a priority for them. And she said that before she went through this whole formula, she probably would have charged $5,000, including the year's worth of financials being done for this law firm. So it was because she was able to really break it down, scope it out, be able to understand where their priorities were, and be able to present them with something that felt like a win-win for them as well as for her. I want to say and the other thing is that she got paid up front because she was able to follow the formula. With that influx of cash, she took that part-time assistant that she had, turned her into a full-time assistant. And as a result of that, she was able to get things off of her plate, which allowed her to focus on higher level advisory services and also business development. So that is possible for you as well, is that we can go ahead and find ways to increase the profit margin of the work that you're currently doing. No additional time spent working.
Well, Lauren, we're going to move forward with your personal ATM machine, which actually is my favorite. So before we do that, we have our next poll question. If you underestimate the project, do you have the client pay a higher fee, stick to your fixed fee? Not a problem, since I charge for time. Once again, if you underestimate the project, do you have the client pay a higher fee, stick to your fixed fee, or it's not a problem since I charge for time? And Lauren, I don't know if you've seen a couple of questions coming in. Have you seen any that because I do have
Now,
one,
does
but I don't
anybody
know if
have
you
any
have.
questions? I just want to check in.
Yeah,
And
this would be a good time.
I've been putting some things out there. If you have a question, please either put in the chat, unmute yourself. Would love to hear what's coming up for you or top of mind.
Okay. Well, I have a question. Will
Yeah.
clients actually pay for a diagnostic?
Apps. Well, the answer is yes and no. The ones that are like really price sensitive and cheap and want to get a Rolls Royce service, but they want to pay bottom dollar rates, they will never, ever, ever pay for a diagnostic. But you're probably doing yourself a favor if you don't engage them as a client also. With the rest of the clients, if they are coming to you and they see the value of engaging your firm's services, they understand how you might be able to help them, then they will happily pay for diagnostic, especially when you can communicate the value of getting this done for them and why it's an important first step. So yes, there are absolutely clients that will pay for a diagnostic, and I will let you know it will never be the price sensitive cheap ones.
Well, let's go ahead and close out the poll and get the results up.
Yep.
So if you underestimate the project, do you have the client pay a higher fee, 7%? Stick to your fixed fee, 67%. Not a problem since I charge for time is 27%.
And I did
And
put in the chat, are your cleanup projects as profitable as you'd like them to be? Nana said, unfortunately not. It seems that clients look for a discounted price for cleanups.
yeah. So determining value can be confusing. What things do clients consider when they're deciding to hire your firm?
Well, this is true for most of us when we're looking to engage someone's services, no matter what the services are, is that we're all looking to get the best value that our budget can afford. That is true for all of us. But the other part is there's three main criteria that you're considering: quality, service, and cost. When you're looking at those three criteria, you want to see that cost is actually number 3 on the list, not number 1. The majority of clients are looking at the quality, which is the client relationship. What is it like working with your firm? Are you client centered? Are you explaining things to them? Do you teach things to them? Do you maybe do things proactively instead of retroactively? So that is something that they're thinking about, is what is it like to engage your firm's services? Do you know their name? And maybe something that is initiative or a priority for them. So how close do you work with your clients, and how well do you know them? The next part is the service delivery. That is, do you have the expertise, the tools to be able to deliver on what it is that they are engaging your services to do, and will you do it in the timeline that was promised and agreed upon? So service delivery is tools, know-how, and following through with your time frame. And then the last one is cost, and that is what will be the investment of someone engaging your firm's services. And once again, the majority of clients are looking at quality and service first, the relationship and the fact that you can resolve the current concerns or problems, and then cost is actually number 3 on the list. So once again, think about that. That is true for most people looking at engaging for services, and the only people that flip it are the ones that are looking for champagne services at beer prices, and not even API. Is that not API? Anyway, not even the high brand beers.
Heineken.
Yeah, this is like the cheap one. So okay. Anyway, another way to look at this is that you want to be able to deliver on the value of what you have to offer. And being able to communicate that is where they start to see you as that expert, as opposed to the technician. The technician is when they want to have the competitive rates. So in order for someone to be less price sensitive, they need to believe that what they have to gain from engaging your firm's services is greater than the fees that you are charging them. And that is essentially the essence of value pricing. Clients need to believe that what they have to gain from engaging your firm's services is greater than the fees that you are charging them. Okay. Oh, Nana said, yes, she agrees. What they have to gain is greater than her fees. We probably need to raise your fees, Nana. So I'm pretty sure you can be charging more than you are. Oops.
Right.
Sorry about that.
So avoiding this situation with the cleanups is really ideal. Is there a system which involves and solves the problem?
Well, this is similar to taking your vehicle over to the mechanic, because once you are on the highway and you hit 60 miles per hour, the car starts to shake and vibrate, and it's making a funny noise. If you look at this, you want to really think about, what does your mechanic do? Because what they do is applicable to you also with onboarding a new client. The very first thing your mechanic's going to do is maybe ask you a couple questions about what's going on, and you talk about the vibration and you talk about the funny noise, but you can't really get into the ins and outs of, oh, I think that this is the carburetor or the fuel injector or whatever like that, because you just don't necessarily know all the things in your car. You're not going to be as car savvy, most likely, as your mechanic is. So because the mechanic first asks you some questions, not going to rely only on your assessment, the mechanic's going to pick up the hood get his or her head under the hood and maybe clamp on some things and be able to diagnose what's really going on. After they have that diagnostic, then they meet with you to discuss that long laundry list of all the things that they found that need to be corrected in your car and need attention. After they go through that long, overwhelming laundry list, then they are working with you to discuss which should be done now to get your vehicle back on the freeway without it being shaking any longer. It's going to be a safe ride now. And what maybe needs to be postponed for later. After that, they are going to get your verbal consent on exactly what to do and what you're going to postpone for later. So they will not do any work under your car until you give them a verbal consent on specifically what it is that they ought to be doing. And then after that's done and you pick up your car and everything is good to go, they're going to roll you into a maintenance to be able to keep your car operating as efficiently as possible and to extend the life of the car also. So those are the things that you can do with your own firm. Also, when clients coming to you, is follow the auto mechanic strategy where you first want to do that diagnostic. You want to review everything you found with your client. You want to prescribe what the first steps should be and then what might be phase 2 and phase 3. You want to get that verbal agreement, and an advance move is actually giving them a work agreement that outlines the scope. So it's going to be in writing. And then after the project's done, you want to roll them into a maintenance with you. And the one thing I'm going to suggest, and I'll probably say it again later on, is when you're doing the review, hold back from doing any tinkering. You might be looking and seeing that if you just check that one box, it's going to fix everything. But I want you to just hold back and resist fixing anything and playing around in there until you've been given permission to actually do so.
Well, Lauren, what is this profitable formula? Let's dive into this and see how this actually works.
This is an overview, is looking at the very first thing you want to do is that diagnostic. It is actually a paid diagnostic. This isn't where you're giving away a lot of information for free. Okay. I'm going to let you know if your consults turn into pick your brain sessions, it is actually a disservice because you're giving them information. They think that they can now go ahead and do this, but most likely they're not going to get the best results than if you went ahead and did it yourself. So you want to go from that initial consult into a paid diagnostic where you pay to go ahead and assess the books. Just like if you were going to a doctor, your doctor is going to probably do some lab work and some diagnostics before going through and reviewing what the options are moving forward to get you back up to top health. So once again, you want to move them into a paid diagnostic so you can thoroughly assess the books. And then after the diagnostic, you want to move them into the cleanup project to get their books caught up, accurate, and up to date. And after that, you move them into the monthly engagement. And I suggest offering packages instead of a la carte services or having to track everything and then sending them an invoice with everything outlined at the end of the month. So once again, it's first doing that diagnostic, then doing a cleanup, the cleanup project, and then moving them into a monthly package of services.
What are the first steps to start charging more?
Well, the very first step is to start moving away from an hourly rate, which might feel intimidating and a little bit of a risk, over to a fixed fee, because now you're doing the paid diagnostic and you've been able to thoroughly assess what is going on in the books that needs to be caught up and accurate. So once you come up with a fixed flat fee, then I'm going to show you how to start to earn 2 to 3 times more. And this is what I see called the first steps to value pricing. It's the good, better, best pricing model. Okay, you thoroughly assessed the books during the paid diagnostic and you came up with a flat fee you're going to charge them. Take that original flat fee that you were going to charge, and now we're going to multiply it by 1.5. That is your new good rate. I want you to enroll new clients for cleanup projects in with your new good rate. And once you enroll 3 people at your new good rate, it gives you some awareness that clients aren't quite as price sensitive as you thought that they were. So after you enroll those 3 people, we jump to tier 2, which is your new better rate. Once again, you do the paid diagnostic. You know exactly what to be looking at and what to expect during the project. Come up with that original fixed fee you would be charging now. And now we're going to multiply it by 2x. And once again, I want you to enroll 3 people at your new better rate, which is 2 times higher than what you originally would have charged. By doing this, you're getting better at having that initial consult of explaining the value, you know what questions might be coming up, and you're able to navigate the conversation confidently because of the fact that you're now talking with a higher quality client. The other thing is you're now getting paid double without any additional time spent working, but you're starting to work with a better client also. After you enroll 3 people at your new better rate, we're going to jump to the top tier, which is the new best rate. Once again, you do your paid diagnostic, you'll come up with your flat fee. We'll now multiply it by 3x, and we're going to get clients enrolled at your new fees with the best rate, which is 3 times higher than your original rate. As a result of this, you might not need as many clients to meet your financial needs. As a result of that, you can work more closely with these clients. They are better quality clients. They respect you and value the services that you are delivering. And because you don't need as many clients, you now have some freed up time to be able to add in some additional advisory services, focus on some projects that have been waiting for you. You just didn't have the time to get to until now, or possibly take some of that personal time back and take care of yourself. So those are the steps to value pricing, the good, better, best model. And at some point, even your new best fees need to go to the bottom and you need to recalibrate this all over again. Susan is someone who is very client-centered, but when we first met, she had a factory style firm where she had a lot of clients, causing her to work 7 days a week, 70 hours a week, because she had low competitive rates, because she hated hearing people say no. She didn't want to disappoint them. She didn't want to get into an uncomfortable conversation. She wanted people to be happy. And as a result of that, it wasn't working for her. The 70 hours was taking a toll not only on her because she was dealing with burnout, she knew wasn't sustainable, but also her family too, because she just wasn't available for them. And even if somebody called on a Friday night with wanting some information from her, then she would drop everything, go ahead and retrieve it and get it back, because that's what she believed good customer service was. So it just wasn't a great business model. And we started going through this client onboarding formula for her to be able to start taking charge of her firm. And I want to bring your attention to cleanup number 1. And with that, she had someone come to her with this project. If she would have originally estimated how much time by her hourly rate, she would have undercharged at $1,500 because she underestimated 100% of the time. But we had a quick conversation. We talked about the value from the client's point of view and how they would benefit from having financial insights that were accurate and up to date. We valued the project at $7,900, no additional time spent working. She knew exactly what questions to be asking them, and also how to be able to talk about the investment and to get paid before she did the project. She followed it. I will let you know, she was so nervous doing this. She was shaking in her boots because she didn't like having these enrolling conversations anyway, and he or she was challenging her limits. But it was a step-by-step system. They said yes, and that gave her awareness that clients weren't as price sensitive as she originally thought they were. She started increasing her rates. And as you can see, over about 9 months, she brought an additional $56,000. And the other thing is she went from that 7 days a week, 70-hour work week, down to 3 days a week, 20 hours a week. So not only did she reduce her workload, but she also increased her bank account. And that is possible for you too.
Well, next we're going to be looking at 5 tips to go ahead and get started, but we have our next poll question. How do you charge your clients? Hourly rate, flat fee, value pricing combination. How do you charge your clients? Hourly rate, flat fee, value pricing, or a combination? And I know that the chat's been really active. I have a question that just came up for let's for us. How do I figure out what to charge?
Basically, what you want to do is think about having actually a flat minimum that you don't go below. And the other thing to look at is that when clients avoid doing their financials for the whole year, that's not really a great way of doing business. It's probably cost them more than what they would pay to have that service done. And the other part of it is that when they are coming to you, then it's usually a rush, it adds pressure to you. And you might go ahead and think, oh, it's easy to do 12 months all at one time. So then you discount what you would have done if they would have been just doing it throughout the entire year. I believe that that is like rewarding someone for bad behavior. So you keep on reinforcing it for them because they want to save money. And to them, it's more cost effective just having you do it and probably discounting it than if they would pay for monthly service. So I believe that you ought to know what your monthly fee would be for that and charge pretty close to what that monthly fee is, because it's not about how quick it is or that it's more efficient doing 12 months together. It's the value of you knowing how to get their financials accurate and up to date in order for them to be able to use it for tax filing or whatever else. But I wouldn't go ahead and discount too much and reward bad behavior, because there'll be no incentive for them to actually take fiscal responsibility for their business.
Well, let's go ahead and close down the poll. How do you charge your clients? Hourly rate, 19%, flat fee, 25%, value pricing, 13%, and the combination is 44%. And Lauren, before we get into the next section, I know that you have a free resource. Why don't you talk about that?
Well, I've been talking all this time a lot about the cleanup and the doing a diagnostic. And if you feel that that's something that interests you to really do a thorough diagnostic, getting paid for it, then go ahead and grab my checklist. It is a 15-point checklist that outlines all the things that you might want to be doing when you're doing a paid diagnostic so that it is more productized, it is a system for you, and you're getting the insights you need to be able to reduce those unexpected surprises down the road. So you can go to businesssuccesssolution.com/cleanup job, all together, no hyphens, one word, cleanup job, in order to be able to grab that. I put that in the chat as well.
Well, Lauren, you're suggesting that accounting professionals slow down and do a review before getting to work. What are some tips to consider as they get started?
Well, before we do that, Christian, are you available?
I am.
Oh, thank you so much. Can you share a little bit about how you've been able to maybe implement the paid diagnostic and what you've noticed?
Yes, when I first get a client, I refuse to do anything with them until I actually do a diagnostic. This is work that I used to do for free when I would first bring on a client. I would go in, take a look, make changes, make corrections, and then decide, okay, now I've got it clean, let's go ahead and work together. So I used to give all of that away for free, but now it's just part of my procedure. When I first meet with a client, I spend 15 minutes with them. And part of that is discussing their business and all that, but then letting them know that I'm going to do the first step of my process is a deep dive diagnostic, and that's exactly what I call it. The reason I do it, I tell them that it allows me to really analyze what's going on with their system and what corrections we need to make. And it also protects them in terms of being able to give them a good fee for how we're going to move forward together. So I do the deep dive diagnostic. I make them pay for it up front. I tell them the benefits of the diagnostic so that we know what we're working with. And I just lay it out. I'm going to do the deep dive diagnostic first, and then we'll talk about a cleanup, and then we'll move into more of a regular monthly bookkeeping situation if that's where we're going. People appreciate that because it really sets you apart as an expert in QuickBooks, an expert in the accounting system. But most of all, it protects me, because if I just say I'm going to do a cleanup, I have no idea what I'm walking into. And so I just set it as part of the process that I go through. And now I can get anywhere from $1,500 to, I mean, 25, 35, 6,500 is the most that I've charged for just like doing the diagnostic and really understanding what's going on with the system. And I get paid up front for doing it. So this is work I used to do for free. And now that I've implemented this, it makes me very comfortable moving forward with a client, and I wouldn't do business without it.
I'm hearing that you're,
Nice.
and I love talking the numbers, so you know that. I am hearing that you're now charging a fee of $1,500 to $6,500 for your diagnostics, right? So that could bring in an additional 5 figures into your business for something
Yeah.
that you were giving away for free.
Right. And I would say that the deep dive diagnostic is probably 10% of my business now.
Okay.
Hmm.
And I know
Nice.
that this is a transition for people. When you first started doing the diagnostic, were you charging those same rates, or were you charging a little bit less in the beginning?
I was charging a little bit less because, remember, I was going from zero.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And so
that's why
anything
I'm
felt
asking.
like,
This might be new for someone.
right. And so, my first deep dive diagnostic was $500.
Mhm.
Um, the value that it brought, and after I could discuss it with someone, and I don't prepare anything, like I don't prepare something written for them for the diagnostic. I might highlight some things, on their balance sheet or P&L that we need to work on. But really, I'm just able to speak about the things that we need to resolve and then move into the cleanup. But after my first couple of times charging $500, but then understanding the value that it brings to the client, and that they are looking at you as an expert. They're looking at you as
Right.
someone that is going to resolve these issues. And by charging more money for that, that lays the foundation for you taking control of that relationship and
Mhm.
you being able to command the higher fees because of the value that you're providing to the client.
Mhm. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing, Christian.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah,
And
and Lauren, Stephanie had a question.
yeah, I was going to answer those two real quickly. Stephanie
Sure.
wanted to know, what are you doing in the diagnostic? I will say that everybody has their own little way of looking at things. But if you go ahead and grab that checklist that I gave you, then that shows you what to look. So it's just a review. And you're doing the evaluation, you're not making any changes in the file. So this is just a review. Do not go in and touch anything, because you have not been given permission to do that yet. And the system for the diagnostic, it's right out of the client onboarding system of how to be able to take them from that initial consult all the way through the paid diagnostic into the cleanup project, and then enrolling them into a monthly where they are not as price sensitive as if you would have done this too quickly and you would have ended up undercharging. So as far as the reporting for the deep dive diagnostic, the way to do that is 2 ways. You could actually give a written report if you want to. That's not my recommendation, because they don't understand it anyway. It's more of having a meeting to review what you have found with them and being able to discuss what the next steps would be moving forward, similar to meeting with your physician after you've done the lab work with your physician, and then reviewing what those next steps would be, or also with your auto mechanics. So it is doing the diagnostic, then meeting with them to review it before moving into the cleanup project. I'm sorry, Steve, did you ask me a question?
No,
Okay.
no, I just wanted to make sure that you got Stephanie's question. And then Laura also put in a question. I don't know if you want to take that real
Yeah, how
quick
much
or if you
higher
want to
is the
hold
rate
that.
for the deep dive diagnostic as to the monthly reviews and bookkeeping? I would say that this is where you're getting paid for something you previously gave away for free. It's a new stream of income, and that it will help you decide what the monthly bookkeeping ought to be. You're not going to know yet. And there's things that come when you're in the cleanup project as well that you might not have realized if you go too quickly into giving them a monthly price. So you might get an idea, but I would just have set fees for the diagnostic and just stick with those fees. So the things to look at is, I know that you're client-centered. You want to be able to deliver a good product for your clients. You care about them. You know things that will help them make their business so much more financially strong than it currently is. And that a lot of times when you're doing that initial consult with the quick review of their financials, you're not charging for it or separating it because you don't see the value of it yourself. But I want to say that that review has a lot of really good information. If you can give someone a very thorough assessment of what's going on with their books, then this is actually a standalone process where that is a product in and of itself. And it allows them to start working with you, developing trust in you, credibility, and it also allows you to be positioned as an expert as opposed to a technician, so they have a higher perception of you. So see the value of knowing what to look for and knowing how to get everything up to date and accurate as having so much more value than the time it just takes to do it.
Mm.
The other thing is, as you're doing the paid diagnostic review, I know you might see a box that needs to be checked or something that would be just a quick tinker that will make a difference for them and correct some things. And I want to tell you, create a boundary. You're being paid just to look under the hood. You're not getting paid to go ahead and fix what's under the hood. So you haven't been given permission yet. That means that if you went ahead and start tinkering, yes, they might appreciate that. But on the other hand, you're also creating a liability if later on down the road, you did something without permission that affected their financials. So I just want to say, let's be very thorough and professional. You're only being given to look under the hood, not to go ahead and make any changes yet. With the paid diagnostic, you can go ahead and get paid before you start the work. And this teaches clients that you are getting prepaid for your services instead of getting paid in arrears, where that would have you financing someone's work with you. And we want clients to actually prepay you. It reduces your AR. You don't spend as much time chasing money. You shouldn't be spending any, actually. You don't have to track time if you don't like to. You don't have to do invoicing after the month. It is something that creates more efficiency, and it saves you a lot of time and creates transparency as well. So with the diagnostic, you get paid before you do the work, and then you can go ahead from that point forward, get prepaid before you deliver any other services also, and that just becomes part of your business model. The other thing is that after you've looked at their books and maybe you saw their financials, you might feel sorry for some of your clients and you end up giving a discount before they even ask for one. And I want to protect you from giving away your work and, charging fees that are not reflective of the value that you deliver, because I believe that accounting professionals, whether you are bookkeepers, tax preparers, CPAs, you are unsung heroes. Your work is so critical and important to your clients, even though they don't understand it or they think that everything is just technical and easy. Let's face it, just because someone has a QuickBooks subscription doesn't mean that they are a bookkeeper. And I'm sure that you've had so many instances where you've corrected the mistakes of other people who were professionals also. So we need to make sure that you are protected and getting paid fees that are representative of the value that you deliver to your clients. That's where you need a pricing formula and to come up with a bottom line price, and you will never go under that price for your clients. So something to think about is the more that you have a formula, including that bottom line price, it goes ahead and establishes a set fee for you, a set minimum as well. And it also shows you how to start to calculate the projects where you're no longer undercharging, you're happy to take on the work, it's high value, and also your clients are happy to have you get this done for them. The last thing about slowing down your onboarding system is that each part of this phased engagement is a standalone product. So it lets you test drive working together. It lets them see what it's like to work with you, and it lets you see what to work like with these clients so that you don't end up with those headache clients down the road that you keep for too long and you silently wish that they would go away. So with this, the diagnostic is a paid standalone process. You get to see if you like working with someone or not. If not, all you need to do is bless them and let them move on. They have all the information. They can go ahead and get someone else to actually do the work of what you assessed. The cleanup project, once again, is a standalone project. So you're not obligated to enroll them into the monthly just because you do the project if it's someone who's not a good fit for your firm. And then by the time you're in a monthly engagement, you've had a way of working with them and you've determined that they are a good fit for your firm moving forward. Lillian, in the beginning, never charged more than $1,500 for a cleanup project because that was her max threshold of what she saw as the value that she brought to the table. And as we started going through this onboarding formula, she recognized the value of the cleanups wasn't about the task that she was doing or about how quickly she could do them. It was the fact that by doing the cleanup projects and getting her clients' books up to date and accurate and giving them real-time insights, created a really solid financial foundation for their business moving forward. So much was possible because they now had all the financials up to date and accurate. As a result of her seeing this as a critical part to the big picture moving forward, she was able to communicate the value of that and charge now a minimum of $10,000 for a cleanup project, even if it's less than a year's worth of cleanup. So think about that. She's attracting premium clients. They want her to do this. They see the value of it. And she's able to explain it in a way where they see it as their critical foundation for everything moving forward. And one of the things that we did together is we went ahead and packaged her services moving forward. And this is a sample of what the packages looked like. She has a basic, a pro, and a premium. And she was able to realize that the basics are for clients that are mainly wanting to be compliance only and get their taxes filed in a timely manner and have the best tax advantage possible. The pro is for clients who have a larger business model. Maybe they have more employees and they might have more than one location. And the premium is for clients that want a more outsourced CFO level services. They have more complexities. They might have multiple locations as well as real estate. And you can go ahead and package your services also because now it's outcome based and you can connect your fees to the outcome, which goes with value pricing, as opposed to how much time it would take to actually do the work.
Well, Lauren, what we covered today was 5 costly pricing mistakes, your personal ATM machine, and 5 tips to go ahead and get started. And Lauren, you really shared a lot. We covered how to avoid cleanup nightmares, profit from cleanup jobs, and cherry pick your clients. What do you have for our listeners that would like more?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you taking time away from working in your business in order to join us and working on your business. And I hope that you got some value from our conversation, even one actual tip that you can immediately implement. If you feel that this interests you, you want to be able to onboard clients who are respectful, they see the value, charging higher fees, no longer having to track or invoice clients after the fact, then I invite you to have a further conversation with me about how to implement this into your firm. If that interests you, you can either scan the QR code or go to businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk. I put that in the chat as well. And that way we can go ahead and have a further conversation together. So once again, thank you so much for stepping away from working in your business, getting those advanced moves to work on your business, and raise the bar as far as the level of clients that you work with and the services that you offer. So thank you so much, Lauren Folkman.
Stephen Fogelman,
showing accounting professionals how to double their income, working
working half the time.